It says preparing. Okay, here we are. Okay, let's see. Is my sound better now?
It's a little bit better, yeah.
You want me to lean in so you can hear? Is this better?
That's better.
Okay, I'm gonna just lean like this. We're in a very deep conversation. Hi, I hope people are joining us. We are going to be doing a quick live here. My name is Shaughnessy Jones. I am the Director of Development at Stolen Youth, and this is our third in a series of 4 where we're talking with our partner organizations that access the Ginny Fund. So today we're here to talk about what is the Ginny Fund, how does the Ginny Fund support survivors of sex trafficking and exploitation. And today with me, who do we have? Chelsea, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Shaughnessy. My name's Chelsea Olsen, and I am a CSEC advocate serving girls ages 11 to 24 at the Organization for Prostitution Survivors, also known as OPS. And yeah, really excited to be here and can't wait.
Yeah, thank you for saying yes. I've really enjoyed my chats with everyone, and I was excited to get to sit down with you. Before we dive too deep in, I want to explain what the Ginny Fund is. And even before that, I just want to acknowledge that I'm on the traditional land of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish tribe. And I just want to honor that and have gratitude for this land that we're on. And do you know what land you're on?
I'm also on the sacred land of the first people, Duwamish territory, and I also want to honor that.
Yeah, we're nearby each other. This is good.
We are.
Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about the Ginny Fund for those that maybe don't know. It's we started in 2017, and it is a fund that directly supports survivors. So advocates that are working with survivors of trafficking can submit applications for things to get financial support. A lot of them are around rent assistance, school, medical bills, court fees, help paying a bill. So removing a barrier for a survivor as they're trying to rebuild their life and move forward for a brighter future. And so you were telling me, Chelsea, that you and OPS have accessed this fund. And do you want to start by telling us a little bit about your work at OPS?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Shaughnessy. Well, I feel like I wear a lot of different hats as far as the advocacy role goes. Just a little bit about what I do and sort of what we do at OPS is we are a survivor-centered organization. We really empower survivors into positions here of leadership. All of our advocates are survivors, myself included. And then most of our supervision are survivors as well. So we really believe, the survivor voices and like leading this organization and creating the change we wish to see in the community. And how important that is, how important survivor voices are. And just a little bit about my role. So I work with youth. That's my specific role. So CSEC, which is commercially sexually exploited children. That's like the politically correct term for youth experiencing sex trafficking. And I do a lot of different things in my advocacy role here. A lot of it is like emotional support. That's pretty common with the youth, is just really like meeting them where they're at, helping them build like coping skills, helping them find things that they enjoy doing, that feels, therapeutic for them as far as within themselves. I do a lot of like empowerment-based approaches, harm reduction, just kind of like prevention, education, safety planning, helping them get connected to school, or if they want to go to like a GD program, and just, helping them get connected to resources in our community, and setting goals for them. And it's, client-led goals. So what are the things they want to work on? Some people, it's as simple as, I want to go to school this week every day. And then other people, it might be, I want to finish my GED. I want to get into housing. Some people, it's like, yeah, I want to brush my teeth twice a day, and so it's really about empowering, the survivors I work with in their own lives and their agency, and building their own sense of self-worth. And it's very much kind of this like shoulder to shoulder process that we're in, walking shoulder to shoulder together. And we help survivors regardless of where they're at on their journey, and just uplifting each other. So and like, yeah, we do groups here. We have drop-in services Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays from 1 to 6. We have an art class that one of our advocates does, or I guess she's one of the supervisors, Martha Linehan. She's amazing. She also teaches yoga classes and does integrated movement therapy. We have a community mental health therapist, Millie Bird Lemon, who's just amazing. And so we have a lot of different sort of supports here that are, holistic, as far as really helping survivors to heal and to build community.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you for sharing all of that.
Yeah.
I love the approach you're taking and that whole walk alongside them, and then, taking a goal and sort of breaking it down, because it can be overwhelming to rebuild your life or plan your future, and think about like, how do I get there? It takes little steps, and every day you can do a little something that maybe moves you towards that goal. So just really powerful work you're all doing over there. And you were telling me some stories when we talked last week, about the impact the Ginny Fund has had on a couple of your clients. And I think you wanted to share one or two stories of how the resource supported them.
Absolutely. I just want to start by saying thank you so much, for the Ginny Fund and for, the donors of the Ginny Fund. You have helped so many survivors, in different aspects of their journey to really help them, find stability and to be able to stay out of the life and, to have that support. So I just want to say a big gratitude and a big thank you to Soul and Youth for that. And, I have a few sort of success stories essentially with the Ginny Fund. And one of them is I had a client, this was a couple years ago, so this was pre-COVID, who really wanted to get her GED, and then she wanted to go to dental assisting school. And, with OPS's help and then with the Ginny Fund's help, she was able to pay for her dental assisting school. And she is now a certified dental assistant. She's been out of the life for over 2 years, has her in place. She met the love of her life. She's getting married. Just really powerful. And that's because, the Ginny Fund helped her achieve the goals that she had that she didn't know were possible, and really got and stayed out of the life because of that support. And that's a huge, huge one for me that I think about when it comes to the Ginny Fund. And then also like in COVID, Ginny Fund's been a saving grace, in so many ways, because the biggest thing during COVID has been, rental assistance and housing security, as far as, having a safe place to stay. And I know a lot of folks have experienced that during this last year and a half. But especially now with the eviction moratorium being lifted, I have clients that are, thousands of dollars behind on their rent, haven't been able to secure stable employment, A lot of them have felt, really triggered into going back to the life just so that they can pay their basic needs and like pay for like their housing and their utilities. And there's been multiple occasions that I've accessed the Jenny Fund this last year and a half to help my clients, pay their rent and pay their utilities. And so that they have the peace of mind. Because the biggest stressor I see and the biggest trigger to going back to the life is lack of funds, and struggling financially to make their needs met, their basic needs met, which inherently we all deserve to have a safe place to stay and food and shelter and clean water. And not having those things is a huge trigger. And so the Jenny Fund has really made it accessible for my clients, for survivors to sustain that and not have that like debt hanging over their heads. And so it's just been such a blessing. Really grateful for the Jenny Fund and those emergent situations where survivors can, get that support that they need, to not have that added weight on their shoulders amongst everything else they're going through.
Yeah. And we have seen a huge spike in rent assistance requests. I think there were 4 last week that we were cutting checks for, and we're trying to pace ourselves so that we can make sure we can cover and support as many survivors as possible. So that's why donations to the Ginny Fund go directly to support survivors. And if people feel like they want to become a friend of the Ginny Fund, they can know that they're directly supporting a survivor and removing that barrier. And I've heard that about the financial stability part is so important because it's not easy, but the fallback is the quick money, and then it's harder to get out of it, and so we don't want them to have to choose between going back to the life and like paying their rent, right? We want to keep supporting them on their journey. And I just appreciate your stories because it's sometimes, we give the money and we don't always know, is it helping? We assume it is, right? But to know, like, even the dental assistant story is just so powerful because it's so great that, she's moved forward in her life and has all this positive, because it took a lot to get there, I am sure. So just really great work you're doing. And you were mentioning something to me about that this is maybe the first time you've had such a young clients, right? And what are you seeing, or any trends right now in your work?
Yeah, it's been a really heavy year and a half, as far as, the pandemic, and then, having to go virtual for a lot of the work we're doing, which it's very much a hands-on sort of job, really meeting people in the community. And then that sort of separation happening has been like really hard to navigate. And what I've been seeing, as of recently, as of like the last 6 months, I've been getting more and more referrals for girls that are under the age of 12. So I've gotten one for an 11-year-old. I've gotten several for 11-year-olds in the last 6 months, and even one 10-year-old. And it's always been the age bracket for youth is 12 to 24. And it's something we're starting to talk about as an org. These girls are getting younger and younger. I believe, that it's always been right that way, but people are starting to recognize it more and refer more, whereas in the past they wouldn't have referred, girls for services. They would just lock them up in detention. And I feel like things are shifting in that way, which is positive. And it's also just very like heavy, and if you drive down Aurora, right, it's like you see the girls out there and they do like super, super, super young. And we've had women come in who have been out there recently talking about the girls out there getting younger and younger. And I feel like, the pandemic there wasn't a lot of eyes out there for a while as far as like law enforcement goes, and more and more vulnerable youth, um LGBTQ boys, girls, have been recruited and groomed and exploited, and there isn't as many concerns around law enforcement. um so they've been out there, and it's just really heavy, and it's something we're looking at as an org, as far as how we want to kind of shift things here to really support the kids, because it's very different working with a 10-year-old than it is, say, a 16 or 17-year-old, um, or an 18 and 19-year-old, right? And so kind of I'm on a very vast spectrum of development as far as youth, and thinking about that too, like what does that look like to work with a 10-year-old? It looks like probably we're going to be doing more like art activities, games, stuff that is appropriate for that developmental stage, versus 16 or 17-year-old, we're probably going to go get some coffee and maybe like go shopping or something like that, go to the mall. And so it just looks different. And so we're kind of trying to shift things as far as the support we're giving and the services we're offering, and potentially shifting like our age bracket. But that's definitely a trend I've seen. There's been a lot more younger girls out there, because I feel like there hasn't been as much law enforcement or eyes on the track due to the pandemic. And then also, families losing jobs, loss of income. Also, there's been a higher intake of, internet-based exploitation. And, that's been something, unfortunately, that can be like glorified or glamorized, which is something I've seen even with people I know. It's very misleading. And so there's been some like spikes, right? And like street based and like internet based and like on the apps and Snapchat and all that. Because the pandemic's just changed everything. So
It really has changed everything. And I don't really believe we're going back to anything that looks like normal. This has kind of changed how we do work and how the world operates, right? And so it is so alarming and tragic to hear that kids, as young as 10 are being referred. I mean, I'm glad that they're getting help, right? But that this should not be happening. And this is everyone's problem. This isn't an isolated problem that just happens to certain kinds of people. Like this could happen, grooming can happen online. Our kids are on virtual school, most of them. They're on all the sites, and there are sites where there are people like kind of teaching you how to, be a sugar baby or how to get into the life and stuff, right? So, and what you said earlier about not having eyes, like that was true for foster care, right? So like, are the kids okay? They're not going to school. Like there's not that many reports being made for abuse or neglect because everyone's stuck inside. So these things intersect, right? Like it is Foster Care Awareness Month, and we're just thinking about the intersection of trafficking and the high risk for kids in care because they're so vulnerable. So we appreciate so much what you all are doing out there, and we're glad to fund your position and to have access to the Ginny Fund for all of you, because this is really important work. And thank you for doing it. I just want to say thank you, Chelsea.
thank you, Shaughnessy. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. And thank you to Stolen Youth for the work you do, and for giving me the ability to do the work I'm doing. Just so much gratitude for all of you, and just the way you support survivors doing the work and survivors that are out there. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's going to take all of us to end child sex trafficking in Washington State and beyond. And so if you're listening to this and you're feeling inspired to support survivors of trafficking and exploitation, you can make a donation at stolenyouth.org/donate, or just go to the page and click donate. You can select the Ginny Fund, and you'll know that that money is directly supporting a survivor to help change their life for the better. Thank you for being here, Chelsea, and sharing all your vast knowledge. And for the people tuning in, thank you. Hope we have a good sunny day here, and we will see you later. You can stay on, Chelsea, but I'm going to hit stop.
Okay,
Thank
thanks
you,
everyone.
everyone. Bye.